in the testimony. So because of me, I gave you access to people that you never, ever, ever would have got access to. But it also came out in cross-examination that she really wasn't that talented. Like, she was just beautiful. She really wasn't that. That's what they say. And then they showed this performance she did on 106 in Park, where she got destroyed for the performance. But to say that he didn't put her, she continued to model. You know, is disingenuous to say that he throttled her career, or he shut her career down. None of that came out in the testimony.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting thing. I'm wondering if Jane Doe looks at this and says, I didn't do myself no favors by doing this.
No, your legacy.
I think that Diddy was going. I think Diddy played it smart strategically with her.
How?
Because
kept paying the rent.
Here's the thing. Listen, and I'm about to open the chat.
Open the chat.
Yeah, I gotta open the chat. Hold
on. Sidebar.
Hey, yo, chat.
Sidebar.
Oh, lovely lady. What's up with you, by the way? Thank you for the 5. She says, okay, they need 2 predicate acts, and 2, 3, 4, 5 probably is not guilty, but they connected with the predicate acts. Am I right? Well, there's other predicate acts. If they've agreed, even if they've agreed or disagreed, there's other predicate acts. The fact that they can't make up their mind, I got to believe it's not predicate acts issue, it's probably an enterprise issue. But I just forgot my thought even going to that. What was that what I was say? Oh, by the way, oh yeah, Counselor at Large, thank you for the 10. He says, we in the 4th quarter, game 7, Diddy got to pull this off. Grown adults can't make their own decision now. This case is bullshit. This is what my man Counselor at Large says. He says these are grown ass adults.
He's right. Listen, a lot of the women that I've talked to looked at these women, Cassie and Jane Doe, like they fumbled the bag. Like, women have said to me, you mean to tell me, Jane Doe, you only had to see this nigga every 5 weeks or every 2 months, and you got whatever you wanted? You could have still had a nigga on the side and just saw. You messed that up.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. In chat, I have the chat open. I got the chat open. What I was trying to ask, and don't tell me I forgot again, Jesus Christ. I was gonna say, one in the chat, if you guys believe, and because this is my belief, and this is why I said that Cassie lawsuit was devastating. I believe Gina started plotting on his ass as soon as that happened. Gina started saying, not Gina, well, I keep calling
Jane Doe. 100%.
She started saying, nigga, you keep threatening me over that little 10K a month, and you paid a bitch 20 million? One in the chat, if you believe or you understand a chick realizing what you did for another chick, she's saying, if you gave that bitch 20 million, nigga, you should be giving me 100,000 a month. What the fuck are you talking about? That's what I think. At that moment, she said, I'm going to record calls.
I can agree with you.
I'm going to start being violent with you. I'm going to get you out of character. I'm going to start doing things, and I'm going to catalog it in case when I need to get what I need.
The feds is already meeting with her then. Because in my case, the feds went and met with my clients.
Really?
They went and met with my clients, my son's mother, everybody close to me months before they came with the search warrant. They had already turned them against me. They went and met with Jane Doe and said, come here, let me rap to you for a minute.
Did Jane Doe say that there was an HSI? I know Lauren said that.
There was left a card on the door or something? They went and met with her and said, look.
You think that she met with them and didn't tell Puff?
Ain't no question.
But she claims she loved Puff. I
don't give a goddamn what her mouth said.
Hold on. If she's there with him when he crafting the apology, she's on the other side of the video or the camera screen when he's recording an apology, she's chiming in. You don't think if they leave that card and then she about to meet with him, she says, listen, I'm about to talk to these fuck niggas real quick. What should I say to them? I'm about to spit them.
Yeah. But they went to her and told her, said, look.
You think they threatened her?
No, they told her, "So look, you have engaged in interstate sex trafficking and prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you are going to be indicted, and the maximum sentence you can get for that is 10 years, and we are going to put you in prison. You are going to lose custody of your son,
Mm.
and
I
and
think that was the thing.
from right there, she flipped the whole tune because all of the cross-examining testimony and all of the text messages up to that point was, "Baby, I love you. You're the greatest thing that ever happened to me. You make my world what it is. I'm a better human, and I hope we're gonna be together forever. I am your friend for life." But after Cassie, after them feds got to her, then because they told her, "We need you to get violent with him. We need you to fight him and get some bruises so we can substantiate and corroborate your bruises with Cassie's. Everything that Cassie alleged in her civil suit, we need you to engage in. And if you do this for us, we'll give you immunity. We won't prosecute you. You have to testify for us, and you can maybe sue him in a civil suit and win millions of dollars."
Hey,
And that's when she changed.
what I realized, there is a point, there's trigger points of both people. So with Cassie, and we heard the audio of her threatening this guy named Sujit, like this guy, I guess, who had saw a freak off video that
Somehow we got a copy
Yeah,
of the video.
But you realize maybe why for Cassie, any exposure of people knowing about this behavior was a trigger point. When it came to Jane Doe, it was always her child. Apparently, in what she testified, now, like, even bigger than Puff saying, you ain't happy for this 10K a month crib over your head, Puff would say, "I'm gonna tell your child father what's popping over here." And she was always really embarrassed. And it's potentially, she was saying, if he knows this, we're going to custody court. We're gonna go to court that he would try to get full custody of the kid. That was her trigger point. And I'm wondering if maybe the feds scare her to say, "We'll take you away from your kid.
1,000%.
You'll never see your kid again."
You're gonna work for us.
By the
And
way,
we're gonna send you to prison.
By the way, Poppy's Kitchen, thank you for the 5 pounds.
Poppy's Kitchen, what up, man?
He said, "Big up Sean G for standing up for Diddy."
Barbados. I think that's Barbados, ain't he?
I don't know, but he's
Poppy's Kitchen, Barbados.
And he said, "Big up to Big Act for introducing us to Sean." Sidebar. When's the merch coming out, man?
We got to do it, man.
Come on, yo, hey Verselli, cook up the sidebar merch. We need about next week. We do good on merch. All the proceeds is going to my man
Sidebar.
You should have been had that out, man. You've been killing it.
Yeah.
Sidebar. They were doing a bunch of, who was in what particular place in the case we were seeing a whole bunch of sidebars.
Man, the prosecution was getting their head busted to white meat, man, when a bunch of sidebars came with Dawn Richard's testimony, Dr. Dawn Hughes, Jonathan Bach was laying into her, and the prosecution was quick. Sidebar. Time out. Let's slow this down. And they'll go back around there, and Puffy's lawyers will come right back with the same question.
I heard they were playing white noise in the court when they had these things that no one.
Yeah, when you're up in 26 and they do a sidebar, they play. So Jesus. You can't hear it.
Hey, live from that thing for the 5. It says, "Yo, no one ever described the reaction of Diddy's mother or the kids when the details of the freak-offs were first given. You got to ask Unc or Lauren, what was the reaction of the family when some of the graphic details were put out? Did you ever look at them?"
I don't know, because I wasn't in 26. I went in 26.
Lauren was there, so she would probably
one
know.
day, and most of my time, the majority, all of my time was in 24B.
So you were in the room with Puff at least one day.
I went in there one day.
How did he look?
He's fat. He's heavy.
Did he fat?
Yeah, picked up a lot of weight.
How much?
He's fat.
He's round.
Yeah, he's looked like a bowling pin.
No way.
Yeah. He turned around. We kind of made eye contact, but it was kind of quick. But I just wanted to see him, man, and I wanted him to see
saying
me.
He does this every single time. Like he comes in and he does this. This is what the sketch artist does.
I think that's when his daughter's mother comes in. She came in today. his youngest daughter. Love, is that her name?
Yeah, the youngest daughter is Love, but the baby mama is Dana Train. I wonder what his relationship with her. She's been so quiet. She's never.
She got long hair, pretty girl, brown, tan skin. She was there today. She walked in, and he turns around and he waves at her. She waved at him. She rides. She in his corner. She in his corner. Cassie is a rat. Jane Doe is a rat. Dawn Richard is a rat.
Okay, going for them lies.
Mia is a rat.
Was those lies offensive to you?
The fact that you took the stand. KK is Cash Money. D-Rock is Cash Money. Whoever didn't get on the stand and help him is Cash Money, and their integrity is intact. Integrity ain't never went out of style. If you got on the stand and you testified against a man that helped you, gave you money when you had a crunch for insurance payment on your car, or you was behind on rent, or you needed groceries. Jane Doe, he gave you 10 grand. He asked you, what should I give you for an allowance? You asked him for 15,000. He said, nah, this is the testimony, y'all. I'm inside the courtroom. He said, I ain't giving you 15. I'm gonna give you a dime. You took the whole dime and spent it on rent for you and a child, instead of taking $3,500 or $4,000 on rent, banking $5,000 for 2 years.
Well, let's think about it though. That was proof to me she has another man. She has other men, because if she has you know what I personally believe? She tells every nigga she with, I got a $10,000 joint, and it kind of levels up to maybe the amount of money they need to give her to keep her, whatever. It's not like Diddy's beating her down every day. Diddy's not occupying. You see, Cassie couldn't play 2 niggas. Jane Doe could play 2 niggas.
That's what she do.
Jane Doe could play 2 niggas, be at the freak off with Bear, do it something else. She could be bouncing around, because Diddy at that point was so polished, he wasn't sweating her.
He didn't care. She only saw Diddy every 5 weeks to every 2 months, and they lived 30 minutes apart.
And she claims she moved there to
my partner. You know, I love my partner. This is my boyfriend. You know, how the fuck is he your boyfriend?
Did she come across sincere? You're hearing
Hell no, man. She corny, man. She's corny, man. They live 30 minutes apart, and Puff would see her every 5 weeks to 2 months.
Hey, we have an interesting donation here. Dark Skin Jermaine, the writer. What up, bro?
Dark Skin Jermaine.
Thank you for 5. He says, yo, dating broke women, including Cassie, was the beginning of the problem. Puff never had no issues with J-Lo or Young Miami. They got their own bag. They're not over here singing. By the way,
Cassie wasn't broke. Don't do that. Cassie was not broke.
Without Puff, she don't have it.
Cassie was not broke. When Cassie met Puff, this all came out in cross-examination. She had put out her first album, which was a success. I don't know nothing about her. This is when she was with Ryan Leslie. She was linked up with Tommy Mottola, a very powerful person in the music industry. She was modeling, and she had an apartment in Manhattan. This is before she meets Puff. She was already an established artist. Anna Esteveo brought this out under cross-examination. She was not broke. Don't say that.
Counselor Lawrence, 5, it says, yo, I think Diddy's not guilty on 4. So he believes on the 4 charge he's not guilty. And it said, I think we're deadlocked on racketeering. Said, let's go. One could only hope. We have no idea. This is the biggest cliffhanger we've ever seen. Tomorrow, what's your plans tomorrow, by the way?
Be at the courtroom. You know what I'm doing.
So it's probably likely.
Then I'm coming over here.
Yeah. So it's likely that you're going to be sitting there watching that.
It's just Debo, him some position. He's like, I'm about to go over here, and then I'm coming back over here.
Yeah.
In the courtroom. As soon as it come down, I'm going downstairs and I'm going live.
To this motherfucker.
What do you think is going to happen? It's going to be high emotions, whether guilty or innocent. You have his mother. You have so many people that rely on him. You have Dana Tran, who just has a newborn by him.
AKADEMIK got off in this past
You have so many
3
people
weeks
who either, are interested in the release or the acquittal of him, and probably the people who have testified are saying we need this quote unquote monster locked up that we could secure the bag. What do you think the emotions tomorrow is going to be? Because I'm going to say, I'll predict, Chad, I think a verdict is coming tomorrow.
Sean G is going to be devastated if he's found guilty of RICO. I am going to be hurt. I'm going to be devastated. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be I'm going to be disillusioned. I'm going to lose all faith in the federal criminal justice system. I am going to be hurt.
What do you say to the people? And I saw some people say this. They said, man, we love Unc, but Unc definitely picked a side. He's too much on the one side, and we want to love Unc, but we don't want Unc to be too much on a side. We want Unc to just give it up. And yeah, he could lean one side, but it's clear you are saying free Puff at this point.
Well, if you read The Art of War by Niccolo Machiavelli, Machiavelli states that it's better to have a friend who picks one side or the other versus a friend that straddles the fence and waits for the outcome and the winner and then picks a side, because that person who straddles the fence and picks the side of the winner will never, ever be trusted by the winner, because the winner will have seen that they were straddling the fence. But the one that picks a side,
that's a fact,
and the guy wins, he knows that that's a loyal friend. The man that picks a side and he loses, the loser knows that's still his loyal friend, because he picked the side before the judgment ever came down, before the war was won. So, you know, Sean G, I'm straight up and down like 6 o'clock, right? This is how I live my life. You know, if I'm with you, I'm down with you like 4 flat tires. And if I'm not with you, I ain't with you.
That's very interesting. I'm going to say this. I've never said this before.
Academics.
That's how it works.
Shout out Academics. Academics took my live and put it in his live. And I got about $1,200 in super chats that day. Hey. Changed the whole trajectory of my platform. Motherfucker, yo, AK sent me here. Act sent me here. AK sent me here. Yo, and you sent me 300. And you sent me 300.
Let me tell you.
I said, I said it done changed. Hey, I said it done changed.
To what you just said, I never said this. And I never said this.
I studies The Art of War, The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, The Discourses by Niccolo Machiavelli, The Art of War by Niccolo Machiavelli. These is required reading. I got little Sean reading it.
Let me say this to you.
Check me out.
I've never said this. Chat. When I went to meet with the president's son, Donald J. Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., I went to Mar-a-Lago. We had dinner. And I'm trying to bring my world to them, because obviously they were going through a campaign at the time. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to be on Apologetically Me. I'm hip hop.
What year is this?
This is last year, right? They got
okay for this administration.
Yes,
all
of
right.
course.
Talk to me.
We're talking about the Kendrick and the Drake beef. And while I was shocked, because I was going to go to Mar-a-Lago and I was going to go view the president's estate. He was probably going to pop up there, maybe, but his son was going to be our official guest. We stay at a hotel that's about like 20, 25 minutes.
You and who?
Just me.
By yourself?
Rumble set it all up.
Check them out.
I got a suit to Rumble. We're streaming on Rumble right now. Lauren was confused because we rated Lauren today. We gave her the treatment.
Shout out to Rumble.
Yeah, the same shit they did for you, we did for Lauren today too. Like, she got a lot of super chats and everything. I told her to go live. You know, we got to show love to you guys. We watch you guys so much. We watch you, we watch Lauren. And no, there were messages in her comments of like R Block, and she was like, "What's R Block?" It's Rumble. So shout out to my guy Chris Pavlovsky, he's the CEO of Rumble. He set it up. He says, "Ak, you're gonna meet with the president, possibly, but definitely the son of the future president, but also the past, because it was Donald Trump. He was in a campaign." I said, "Okay, cool." I go to the hotel. I was expecting a lot of shit. The president's son pulls up in a Suburban, no Secret Service. It's like, hop in. Super regular. I'm telling you, this is how it went. He drove us to Mar-a-Lago. There is police and Secret Service because it's a tourist attraction. It's in Palm Beach. Everybody drives. They got their MAGA thing, whatever. Again, I went there to represent myself in hip hop. Okay. When I get in there, and by the way, I'll say, he asked me, he says, "What's going on in your world?" I said, "Well, the biggest thing going on in my world right now, they got Kendrick and Drake beef." The wife, who's now the ex-wife, she actually was the wife of Gavin Newsom at one point, and then she became the, I think, fiance of Donald Trump Jr. was Kim. She said, Kendrick sampled me. I was on Fox News at the time. So we started talking about hip-hop stuff. Kendrick, Drake, started talking about Diddy a little bit, because that was after the Diddy got was under investigation. And we get to have dinner at Mar-a-Lago. And they gave me the tour. They said, "This is my room." And I was like, "Oh, wow, this is impressive." So we're having dinner. And he says, "Tell me a little bit more about what's going on in your world. What is this beef?" So I'm telling the president's son about hip-hop beef. And I'm like, Kendrick and Drake, they don't get along. It's not that serious, but it's a war of words. And he says to me, "Where do you lie on the matter?" And I say, "Drake's my guy. Drake's my favorite artist. He's always been." He says, "I know you're the number one guy in hip-hop media. This is why they set this all up. You're the number one guy." And he said to me, which is something important, which relates to what you said. He said, "If that's your guy, rock out for your guy. Can't play both sides. You'll be bigger and better when you play Kingmaker. Don't be the person that's just sitting there like, whoever who wins, I'm going to be on their side."
Right.
Because the guy who sits back and says, whoever who wins, I'm rocking with them,
Can never be trusted.
that's a sucker.
Can never be trusted.
You could never be trusted,
No.
and you have no power. It's better you go out in a blaze of glory with the person that didn't win.
Right.
Or you're standing victorious next to the person that did.
Right.
More than you're the person that never picked a side. And I looked at that from someone who they're not looking at how I'm looking at this world. They're looking at global economic power control. And from their perspective,
And he saw his father go through it.
from their perspective, that neutral shit don't work.
No.
That, we don't have an opinion.
No.
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
%90 of your data is unstructured, and it's a gold mine of untapped value. That's why we built Box AI.
I knew you was, you ever see them videos when they watching the basketball game and one team wins and he take the jersey off and he got the other jersey underneath?
Right. Right.
Could never be that. So
No.
I understand what you're saying. Why do you think that other people down at that courthouse were unwilling? We're unwilling to say what their gut feeling was, or
Be
their
vocal
heart.
about it?
Yes.
Because they need acceptance. Their self-esteem is low, and they need acceptance from people and approval from other people. They want to fit in. Because there was definitely some people. I was the only one that was vocal about it. Nobody, man. Nobody. I was the lone ranger, man. And I became Puff's PR.
Mm.
I became Puff's PR.
That's interesting. Explain that because
his family, they couldn't speak to me because they probably got gag orders or whatever the case may
and
be.
also they couldn't speak. They couldn't say anything because people are looking at them a certain way.
And they didn't know me really too much, right?
Yeah.
But the more they watched my videos, because I found out they were watching, because some of the attorneys for Puff came up to me in the hallway and said, yo, we watch your videos.
And they knew who you were.
Ain't no question. And then I would see the sons and the family, they'd be like, you know, which was letting me know, like, they see what I'm doing. But I wasn't doing it for them. I wasn't doing it for them, man. You know what I mean? I'm solid all the way through, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm solid all the way through. The feds wanted me to cooperate in my case, man. They wanted me to turn in my clients, and they wanted me to wear cameras and wires. And my son's mother was took custody of him away from me and shit. And 27 days before I left to go to prison. And I went to my public pretender and said, yo, man, I can't. You got to get me
public pretender.
My public pretender.
You mean public defender?
Public pretender.
Not defender.
Not a public defender. That nigga was a public pretender. And I said, man, I got to get some home confinement or probation. And he said, Sean, the only way, you got mandatory incarceration. You got zone D, level 0, category 0, level 15. You got mandatory incarceration unless you sign a 5K1 and you turn in your clients, and we're going to put a camera and wires on you, and you got to go in places we want you to go into and be on call. I said, man, hurry up and send me to prison, man.
You turn it down.
I'm not finna do that.
Why?
No, man, hell no. Mama, I that ain't me, man.
We live in a different world now where I think in hip hop,
but I got a son,
at,
man. My name's Sean Xavier gonna be senior, man, and I got a son, Sean Xavier gonna be junior, man, and he got to live up underneath that umbrella. You understand? And you know, I was a fly nigga before I came on YouTube and social media. You know what I'm saying? I had $1 million net worth before all of this, right? So, you know, I just wasn't going to do that. I never did that. The way I was brought up is that you never do that. You never do that. You never do that. And the people that did that to me, that cooperated against me, ain't none of them had no good luck.
They were cooperants against you.
Yeah, man. Motherfuckers agreed to testify against me, man.
So, wait, so what do you feel like, you know,
they lying.
Like it's like he and to the point they warned him. They're like, you're doing too much. But I could imagine he's like, I did all this for you, and you up here telling this fallacy.
Thank you. Say it, academics. That's how he feels. And then after that, he's sitting there and his stomach is churning that I'm facing 30 years. And look at what they're doing. I can't even imagine how that brother feels. But I know the depression I went in. I was in a depression for 3.5 years, man. When I lost I had a $400,000 a year income, 9 rental properties, my principal house, Chilltown. I had a house in Jersey City, tax business. I was a licensed real estate broker. I lost it all, man. And death was looking at me and death was like this.
What do you mean?
My world crashed in on me, man. My life got dark, man. My life got dark, and nobody called. People who was cooperating against me, betrayed me, people I thought loved me. And the only person that was there for me was little Sean. He was 18 months old, and he used to come up to me out of the blue, and he used to say, Daddy, I love you. And I used to look at him and be like, why? Because I hate me right now for what I've done to myself, for the people that I've chosen, for the greed that I allowed to take over me, for the recklessness. Because when I became a millionaire, I became more reckless. I had the same thing, 7, 8, 9 women, fucking them all raw.
You see, people don't know this side about you, and maybe they also don't know why you can't. Like, I had no idea you were a millionaire before.
7, 8, 9 women. 3 main ones.
You had the honeys, huh?
I had 3.
Unc had the honeys.
I had 3 main ones.
Really?
That loved me and was ready to sign on the line in blue ink if I would have said so. And then I had my clients. I used to fuck my clients in the office on my desk. I had a couch in the office.
Wilding it.
Everything Puffy's up there going through, this is my story. But not on, I just didn't have no jet in 900 million. But
yeah, you were having them on the real casting couch.
All of that. I was tricking. I was paying this one's car insurance, this one's car payment. And when it all went down, the day the search warrant came, when the feds came, about 20 of them came with the search warrant, with them navy blue jackets with the letters. They had a windbreaker convention at my office.
Oh my God.
You could have took, listen, nigga, you could have took every letter off the back of their jacket and spelled any word in the dictionary.
What was that day?
All the alphabets.
That day was like, I drove, I was living in Jersey City. I got up and I didn't sleep all night that night.
You was fucking a bitch?
Nah, I was asleep. It was April the 14th, 2011.
But something didn't feel good. Energy was off.
The energy was off. I believe they was outside watching me. I got up. I went to the office. I drove to the office. And when my office was in Clifton, New Jersey. I got out the car. 2 big white boys jumped out of this Bumblebee Camaro, like from Transformers.
Yeah.
And they had the badges on with the bulletproof vest. And he had a rolled up paper. He said, "You Sean Gumby?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "This is a search warrant. We coming upstairs with you." I said, "All right, come on." Excuse me. And we went upstairs. I opened the door. Then I had another door. I opened that door. And when I went in and put my keys down, like 20 agents came in. Woo! Go over there. And it was a white girl. The white girl was.
And knew where to go.
The white girl was telling everybody what to do. And it was one nigga there. He was light bright, one of them high yellow niggas, light bright and damn near white.
By the way, John Gold, thank you for the 20. He says, "Yo, this is a great example how blacks should work together." Come on, man. I love Unc, man. Unc is a great content creator and someone who has positive energy. Number one, content creators should support each other. You know, we are nothing without each other. And here's the thing.
Independent content creators at that.
That's a fact. And here's the thing.
I have no backing from nobody. That's why I could say what I want to say.
Here's the thing. If, you know, a lot of people, and, you know, I know some of my audience, I don't believe at all. I feel like the help has been 50-50 mutual. I sat many days trying to figure out what's going on with this trial. And I'm like, I could go down there, but I got to go down this type of way. You know, we talked about that. We were talking about going down with a sprinter, security, this and third, because it was a commotion. And I said, if we're going to cover this trial, this is happening in New York, in my backyard, I got to cover this effectively. We got to cover this right. And I was just like, should we undergo this? But then we can't even bring cameras in there. How are we going to do updates? And we're like, we need some pundits. We need people who we could trust. And through the early stages, we found you guys. And we found you. We found Lauren. And I'm going to be honest with you. You guys waved the flag. You guys really carried it. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is why I tell my audience, you helped me. You helped me. And it was upon me to not do what many large creators would do to a small creator and be like, okay, I'm going to just take this person's work, capitalize off it, but not try to redirect my audience to fuck with him or let's see what he's about. And even you being here and telling your story, that's another arc that people go check you out. You know what I mean? So this is why, you know, John Gold, thank you for that donation. But this is what independent content creators should be, right? Like you've seen this spot, you've seen a spot upstairs, and we did a reel today. And you said, Act. You said, Act. You started this all by yourself, right? I said, yeah. You said you started from zero. I said, yeah. With no backing, yeah. And that's important because that's all of us.
We know what it's like when you put up your first video and you think it's going to do 100,000 views and it does 17 views.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And 4 of those is you.
Yeah, you keep refreshing. To the point YouTube stopped counting your refresh. You're like, all right, nigga, it's enough. But yeah, so I love what you guys are doing. And I've been, to my audience, I've been so amazingly proud of when we've identified another independent content creator, and we say, "Oh, we got to support them." Man, I almost came to tears watching how they were supporting you today too with Lauren. I said, "Man, this is,
feeding
you know,
deers in the
for me, I've
backyard
been
and
doing this
shit.
for so long, and I'm very happy, and I'm in a good place. But it makes me happy knowing that my audience, we don't take it for granted, and they could appreciate people like you. So this is why I'm glad to have you up here. But anyway, keep with the story. So the Windbreaker party's happening.
Goddamn
They're up in the
Windbreaker
store.
convention.
Okay.
And they stayed in my office about
What are you doing? Are you in cuffs? What are you
2
doing?
hours. No, I'm sitting. They made me go.
There's DIY, and there's doing it yourself. It's the difference between being creative and being a creator.
Shut up.
And he started to question me. He was shaking his shit. And I said, nigga, you scared. I'm the one supposed to be scared. It's 20 of y'all in here. And then they showed me the W-2 of the black girl, the undercover black girl that came in.
They showed you that?
They showed me that W-2 and they said, do you remember this? And I knew it when I saw it. I said, yeah. They said, you got her back more money on her taxes than what you were supposed to. I said, yeah. They said, do you do this all the time?
Wait, you said it in that encounter? You know, that probably had body cams or something.
I don't give a fuck what they had. They asked me the question. I told them the truth.
Okay.
They said, do you do this all the time? I said, yeah, sometimes. Yeah. He said, about how many times? I said, I don't know the percentage wise, but I do it. Then I said, I got to take a piss, man. And I got up and I went to the bathroom.
They allowed you?
They followed me into the bathroom and stood by the stall while I pissed. And we came back out. He came and sat right back next to me again and kept questioning me.
Did it read your Miranda rights?
No. Okay. No. And they was there for like 2 hours. Another dude came back and says, what's the combination? What's the passcode to your secretary's computer? And I gave it to him. They said, if you don't give it to us, we're going to get in there anyway. I gave it to them. They took all of my clients' W-2s, all of their paperwork, checks, and they left. My other secretary came. They got her, took her somewhere, questioned her. And it was just like, it was a crazy day, man. And from that day, my life spiraled down in a self-fulfilling doom-filled prophecy.
Let me ask you a question.
And I went into a depression for 3.5 years.
Do you believe, as you watch this Diddy trial, and you said you could not fully to his, because he's a billionaire, right? What his lifestyle was, but you could see you had a bunch of honeys, this and third. Do you believe when you got caught and, you know, once you start like processing all the events, do you think it was because of greed you got there? Why do you think you got there? Because you were living this extravagant lifestyle. It's the same thing. Diddy has to process this too. No matter how much he could sit in his, he put
himself there.
Yeah, he could sit there and be like, man, this fucking bitch, I did everything for this hoe. How could she do this? Where do you think the accountability comes in, and where do you think the wrongs start? Where did it start for you?
For me, the money blinded me, and I chose bad people to be in my arena, even when they showed me red flags that they was no good. I still fuck with them anyway, especially women. Beautiful women. You know, a lot of things happen, and I had all this money, and I just said I had never had that amount of money before. My mother, I grew up in an apartment my whole life, right? My mother picked cotton as a little girl for 75 cents a day. So, you know, I got free lunch in school. You know, we ate no frills. We ate all paper plates. We wasn't poor, but I had all this money, and I felt undefeated. I felt nothing could touch me. And it led to my demise. I became careless and reckless. And I equated the amount of money I had in my bank account to success. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. It led to my downfall. Some motherfuckers told on me, but you know, had I been doing the taxes right, I wouldn't have had to worry about that. You could tell all you want.
What do you think was the beyond just the taxes, what do you think was based on your lifestyle, what do you think you were doing wrong the most that probably led to it? Was it the women? Was it the just careless disregard of like certain other things?
Greed, money, and greed. I would do anything for money. Money was my religion, and my dick ruled me, told me what to do. I would do anything for money. I would break any law. It was all my fault. It was all my fault. But I didn't see that until I got to FCI Morgantown in West Virginia, until I got to prison. Because I blamed everybody and everything for what happened to me. That nigga ratted on me. That nigga ratted. This nigga's a piece of shit. This one ratted. But when I got to prison, I'll never forget it. I was in Gerard unit, and I got cool with this nigga from Atlanta. And I'm crying and complaining. Yo, this one ratted on me, man. My son, mother took my son in Jersey. He's from Atlanta. Jersey. I like you now. You all right with me. You good people, I like you now. But I hear you blaming everybody, but you the one that had the criminal intent. You was the one that broke the law. See, these are civilians, and that's what civilians do. They tell. But you had the criminal intent. And he was the first person to confront me about my crying about what another motherfucker did. And I had to look at it, and I said, you know what, Sean? Everybody that you had around you showed you signs you was no good, and you disregarded them. The same windshield that I was looking out at the people that I was choosing to be in my life, they weren't looking back at me with the same windshield.
What does that mean?
I was looking out at them as confidants, loyal, a solid nigga like me. I'm thinking they had their principles and their values was the same as mine. Like I say, I didn't cooperate. I had the opportunity to, right? But they cooperated immediately when the heat came on them.
You think Puff's thinking about that with some of the people that's up there?
Man, 1,000%.
Paying that like
1,000%.
Hey, you know it's the 1st of July. If you guys don't know, happy 1st of July. By the way, I have a large audience in Canada. This happy Canadian Day.
Canada, what up?
Happy Canadian Day. Is Lauren back? Lauren, we missed you.
Ain't no question. Finish that thought, Act. You said Puffy, you think it's Puffy's looking at the people like that?
Well, today is the 1st, and let me tell you this. One thing I know about having some shit, my phone don't ring more than when it's the 1st of the month. Everybody because it's bill time. Rent, this and third. Diddy paid that rent this month. Diddy paid that rent this month for Jane. When Diddy's sitting there knowing that $10K came out of his account to pay that motherfucking rent for Jane.
And this bitch got on the stand and testified against me.
What do you think? What do you think he's thinking?
He's furious. He's furious. But he's not gonna, and I hope for Puff, man. And Puff, this is for you, man. You know, and I'm willing to talk to you about this at any point, man. You know, I hope you looking at the part that you played in all of this.
It's gonna take a while for that though, because he's done so much.
It took me damn near 4 years to get to that point.
Really?
Right?
Like, damn, I said,
I
use
played
so
a
much
major
baby
part
oil.
in these people.
Now they gonna clown me when I
bringing
get
them
out.
into my life, and they showed me they wasn't no good, and I disregarded the flags anyway. That's why today,
clean up the cell.
people reach out to me on Instagram or email, and the minute they show me they on some sucker style, man, we got nothing else to talk about. We not doing that. You got to be straight up and down like 6 o'clock with me, because that's what I'm gonna be to you, right?
Yeah, you
and
home
if you can't match my energy, we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Slide right into one of them
Lauren,
seats.
you are back.
I'm back.
No,
we got Lauren back in the building.
Oh my gosh, that was so stressful, but we made it. Oh, that looks so good. I'm gonna eat it after I.
We got Lauren back in the building. Enjoy it. Listen, hey, when we eat on camera here, listen, everybody,
hyping them up
listen, on
stream.
When I'm watching you,
in front of
when I'm watching both of y'all, usually the mid hour, like around 12, I get my food and I let y'all talk, and I start eating. And my chat is used to understanding we eat on camera. It is all good. Okay, explain what happened. You just went through hell.
Okay, so no, I mean it was just very
to get people to go to their
not horrible
platform.
getting there, but
Send them
as
bread.
Claudia, we
Send them
walk
stream,
outside.
like,
It's
so
so
you gotta
dramatic.
stream. Wow,
It
wow,
is
wow, wow, wow. Now you got people
pelleting rain. I mean, it
sending
is
them
like
$200
out here.
$300
yes. I was like, are you
in the
kidding me
middle of
right
the
now?
stream
Like,
and shit. That's
seriously? So
a wild
I get
bit.
there, and
So yeah, when
like
you like, hey,
literally
come down to
as
sit
soon
with
as
me
I
at
walk in, jury sent a note
yeah,
that
here I
they're done
come.
deliberating
Wait,
for
wait,
the
wait.
day.
Did you went in the main?
I got
courtroom?
inside. Yes, I did not. I literally was about to walk in, and yeah, jury deliberating or done deliberating. They sent, so basically I don't know how far you got, but like the judge sent them back and said, okay, yeah, so they sent a note, we're done for the day. I mean, well, first of all, surrounding the courthouse, I think because of the way the media works these headlines, the headlines are partial verdict is back. So everybody thinks that they're gonna announce the verdict.
That man from the block. He said, let her
was
talk.
insane.
I'm about
And
to
it was
eat
raining.
this
It was
pizza.
raining.
To the main courtroom then.
Well, no, so I mean, it's just to go back. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but
No.
we had to get there to be in the main courtroom. At first, you had to line up as early as possible because there's only 21 spots for press, 14 seats for the public. And it was, gosh, all the weeks are running together. I think it was last week that they finally said, okay, if you are here right now, and generally it's the same people every day, but other outlets will kind of sprinkle in and you're like, oh crap, I'm a little further behind in line. But they finally said, if you are here today, whatever day this was, sometime at the beginning of last week or the week before, they said we will take this list and you can automatically get in the courtroom
whenever.
For closing arguments and for the verdict. And they said, basically, you're good. You can show up at any time. So my name is on that list, so I can go in and out of the main courtroom.
I see with a pass.
Yes,
you don't have to show your pass. I don't know if that's identify it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But this is a standard. This is a standard press pass. I think if that's is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't give you a press pass?
You have to be.
Ain't a problem.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So, yeah, to get a New York City press pass, you have to cover Coke.
I don't need no plate. It is the
so
ski
nice.
mask way.
Is he guilty or not guilty on them 4 charges?
So if I get
I'll fuck with you, Unc.
Anyway.
Unc is tired now.
But by the way, you could probably get. You have to have covered 6 New York City events to get a press pass.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of people that's new that got them. You got to go to one. I got to go to one.
But you have to.
Is he guilty or not guilty?
I mean, listen.
Did it come out? Nobody knows.
No one knows, but I think.
Do the defense and the prosecutors know?
No.
Nobody don't know.
Nobody knows except for the jury.
Look, there's going to be a whole bunch of YouTubers talking about they know. They lying.
Well, and that's the problem right now with these headlines I'm looking at. And I've gotten so many texts and it's like, the verdict's out there. And I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. It's not. I mean, like I said, I ran out of here because I thought there was a chance they could read the partial verdict. But I think the biggest thing here is that they did not issue an official Allen charge. So the jury doesn't, if they issued here, and I can,
so the jury could be hung.
Well,
unless they get that right.
I don't think that's going to happen. Let me.
No, but could it be?
So the other thing is that the defense, they wanted to say, hey, jurors, you can come in on Thursday and deliberate as well, because technically the court is closed Thursday and Friday. But the defense said, don't tell them now. We don't want you to tell them now that they can come in Thursday. We just want you to wait, see what happens tomorrow. And that's kind of how it went down. The judge just said.
How did Puff look?
So I obviously did not see him directly, but the consensus is that he looked very stressed.
Okay.
Okay. I feel like
you will be doing me too.
I'll be shitting bricks.
Everybody.
Yo,
yeah.
Once y'all come back that you've got to any consensus, read it right away. Don't tell me you got it. But hey, one of my pet peeves is when somebody says, "Can I tell you something?" Just tell me. Don't give me the precursor. Don't tell me I got something to say, but I'm going to give you the warning. Just tell me. So when you now say, yeah, we got it, but we can't tell you, now I'm thinking, I'm looking at y'all different. I'm kind of sweating. I don't know. Here's the thing, though. Can't his lawyers predict where this is leaning to?
I think.
You think they are?
Well, at first, I was like, okay, we discussed this about how 2 of the RICO predicates are sex trafficking and violating the Mann Act. And so at first I was like, well, wait, if they found him, let's say, guilty on those, wouldn't that automatically be RICO? And then I forgot that in order for it to be a racketeering conspiracy, you have to have a criminal enterprise and you have to have
We said that, right?
Co-conspirators.
Yeah, we said that. And I think that's the problem.
I think the jury might be hung up on the co-conspirators and the criminal enterprise.
Same thing. I think they're looking at this to say, hey, we find some predicate offenses happen, but this is not no enterprise. This is a man having his personal life. And in his personal life, he's done some things. Yes, if you guys charge him for arson, we're going to say he didn't do arson. But you guys didn't charge him for drug distribution by itself. You charge him within a criminal enterprise. We don't believe there's a criminal enterprise.
Every lawyer that I spoke to on the way here, I texted a bunch of lawyers, probably 5, and they all said the same thing.
That what?
This doesn't look good.
For Puff?
For Diddy. Yes, they all said it does not look good for him that they came back this quickly and
did they give a prediction? Do they think it's possible for guilty verdicts?
I mean, no, they didn't go that far. They basically said most likely guilty on most of the charges, right? Most of the charges. So I don't know. That could mean 3 of 4. That could mean 2. Whatever. I didn't get into specifics.
It is a big problem if there's a sex trafficking. And I mean, we talked about this. It's like if there's a sex trafficking conviction, big problem because the mandatory minimum on that is 15.
Yeah.
So if we're working at 15, this is huge issues. Now there's no mandatory minimums on a prostitution. There's sentencing guidelines, and a max of 10. And usually around where no convictions, he has no prior convictions. They're looking at 15 to 22 months.
Well, this is where I mentioned yesterday that if they come back, and let's say they come back Thursday, right? And the judge is, they come back Thursday.
Thursday. Hold on. You guys want the verdict tomorrow?
No, yes, I do. But I'm saying, like, let's say tomorrow they come back and they say we're still hung. We don't know what to do, and the judge issues the Allen charge and says you need to go back and deliberate, whatever. And then Thursday they come around and they say, "Look, we are."
Hey, can we give Uncle plate? You need a plate?
Like we are still hung. I think at that point the judge could confer with the defense and with the government and
give him some more napkins and everything.
Thank you. She got him. Yeah, she got him over there.
Yeah.
And discuss a possible sentencing plea with the hung
When
jury.
do you guys eat? I'm sorry to cut you. When do you guys eat? Because I'll be watching. First of all, you must never eat because you're usually, I feel like you kind of time it. You be like, they're about to take a break. You get out early. You're live already, right? You used to upload. I'm glad you went live today. By the way, they loved you today.
Thank you.
By the way, I got a shout out to one particular person, Belle from, she's from Canada. She sent the sweetest message. And I know there's a couple savages in my chat. And I know when it comes to like women, they're a little bit like crass. But I was so proud of Belle from Canada. She was very, very complimentary.
They treated you well today?
She loves your blouse.
Thank you.
Like,
I know, that's so nice.
Yeah. I had to tell her that's that Louis V right there. You know what I mean? That's that Louis V right there. No, but yeah.
Thank you.
I'm glad that they showed you so much love.
Thank you so much. That was so nice. And I am an idiot when it comes to lives. They're like read the super chats. I'm like, what's a super chat? I mean, I knew kind of, but I was like, what do you do? I'm really sorry.
How much did you make on your super chat?
I don't know yet. You don't really know.
I sent the 500 today.
It was really nice.
Did you see all of the color lines?
Wait, I didn't send you 5. I sent you 3. I'm gonna send you 200 more.
Nah, don't send me no more
That's
money. You did enough, man.
No, hey, well, you guys did a lot. Hey, listen, I don't. You know. Listen, fortunately, when you get to where I'm at, those are.
I'm on my way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm right behind you.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm right behind you.
And for me, I think this was always going to be a landmark trial, for everybody, but also for me,
historic.
But for you guys, I want to help you guys build up that, I could tell even talking to you earlier, your arc is going to consist of certain things that might not all the way be fully hip hop, but it's definitely going to be within covering criminal trials. And for those people, I always tell people, I'm like, I don't gatekeep my audience, because my audience might be like, because I got some people who they be like, I ain't gonna lie to you, like, I've introduced them to people that be like, we love you still, but you know, Unc over there, we gonna check him out a lot too. It's all good, because here's the thing: everybody has 24 hours in a day. You know, I always say, I'm always so confident about the content I make. I love introducing them to other people, friends. These are friends.
Thank you.
Like,
man.
you're gonna see them come back on the platform. We're gonna collab a lot. So please go check out Lauren Conlon.
Thank you.
How many subscribers you got now? 20?
No, I almost have 20,000. Let me
Oh no, we
see.
got to run it up to 20. Don't
Good
worry.
for
We
you.
got
let
to
me
run it
see.
up to 20.
I have
We
You
got
had 18 yesterday.
I have 19,462.
Okay,
Awesome.
hey, chat.
Awesome.
We got to do this. You got 19,400?
19,462.
Okay,
Yeah.
chat. I need y'all to do this.
We
This
need
is
338.
before we get off of this live.
Gosh,
Hey, Mods, could you pin her YouTube channel
thank you.
at the top of this
Thank
this
you.
live? No matter if we're on Kick, on Rumble, or we're on YouTube, we need to get those. We need to get her to 20K.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Again,
pizza,
we're
man.
at an
Oh, I didn't get
impasse when it comes to this entire trial. We appreciate both of these people. Also, one thing they love about y'all are very appreciative, and we appreciate y'all. You know, it's a love fest. You know, hopefully this trial turns out that we still have good conversations afterwards, in the sense of we don't know how it's gonna go
We better.
tomorrow. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna throw it out there right now. Tomorrow, I hope the verdict comes down, but after verdict, do your lives or do your stories. Then you guys should pop in here again.
Peace.
That's what I think.
I would love to. I'm so sick of
It got to be a verdict tomorrow.
I'm so sick of
I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
I think I'm just so, my brain is, I thought I knew some of the, like, I just can't get over it. Like, if they're really unanimously guilty on certain charges, I'm like, why did I see this juror, this one female, really seem to enjoy the defense? Maybe she just enjoyed the show. I don't know. So, but I really think that, again, if they are stuck on the RICO charge, the judge will be like, it's fine. We'll just work out a sentencing plea type of thing, and then just be done with it.
Let me ask you a question. And this to me is highly unlikely, but I'm going off what Unc said when he first showed up to the trial. He said he was drowned by all the media perception of Puff. So I hear he's a megalomaniac, he's arrogant, this and third.
Yeah.
If he gets found guilty, do you think he will look at all 8 or 9 of his counsel and say, y'all niggas fucked it up for me? Or do you think he will say, oh, nah, it was the bad jury or the bad judge? How do you think he'll process that? Because again, that is going to be a thing, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, if I had, listen, I am not a doctor.
we're assuming here. We're assuming
but
here.
I just mean, like, taking a step back, I'm not a doctor, but I would have to surmise at certain times that he is sitting there in court, and I don't think he believes truly that he ever did anything wrong. I think there is definitely something there, and I'm not talking about the Cassie assault, the domestic violence. I think in terms of everything else, he doesn't see himself as, doing anything wrong. And I do.
What did he do wrong? What do you think he did wrong?
I mean, listen, no one's perfect, right?
No.
No
What
one's
did he do
perfect,
wrong?
but-
What did he do wrong that you think he did wrong?
Well, he did break a lot of laws.
What did he do wrong in this case? What did he do?
Are
What
you
they
saying-
charged
Are you
him?
saying beyond the hotel video?
No. Lauren
why
said.
are we here?
Lauren said that he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
So,
Based on, we've both been in the courtroom
but
for
let
7
me-
weeks.
let me
What do you
finish.
think he did wrong?
Let me finish in terms of, I think he truly believes that he was targeted. And listen, I can say right now with certainty that a lot of people get away with what he has done. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to not say that other people don't transport their, you know, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, like, you know, people do that. People, men.
The flyer out game is wicked.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
sorry, and I'm not saying this is right, but like, how many times does a man say, if a girl says, I don't want to, come on, that could be considered okay, I'll do, you know what I mean? Like, that could be considered coercion. So and then again, with the drug distribution, you know, a lot of that is, I don't know if the word is yeah,
like
so
bullshit.
I don't know if the word is targeted, but people do this stuff all the time and it's not a federal crime. So yeah, that does, a lot of this does feel not it doesn't feel like it should be a federal case. And I've said this, but
okay, Lauren, and this is why you know, by the way, I love our panel here. You know, maybe we have room for one more, but right here, I think we got it all. Lauren, because you bring a different perspective. I actually told him this morning, I said, when we spoke yesterday and you mentioned how Cassie's testimony affected you, I think all of us had a different effect. I spoke to you about the effect of Cassie's testimony. You said once it got to cross, you saw a lot of holes through it and it was whatever. For me, I saw, okay, this was a toxic relationship, but I was also thinking, where did it go too far? But you could also see where maybe, as much as I would look at to say, girl, you were also manipulative, you were controlling, you were also running your own plays. You could look at it where you're like, you get a 19-year-old girl who says she doesn't know how to do fellatio, you teach her this, you bring her into a certain lifestyle, and you could understand that coercive type of, you know, element of it. And that's why we really appreciated, you know, your input. What do you think, or just overall general thing? And by the way, we're just talking opinions here, right? Because again, we don't know when the verdict's gonna come. When you think about this case, beyond the hotel video, what do you say Sean Combs, he fucked up here?
You mean in life?
No, in everything that's being mentioned, that you're like,
oh, I see.
And that you're like, you should probably be held accountable.
Okay,
for
so
that.
and this is also where I struggle. It's, and I think I've said this before, because sometimes when I'm sitting there and I'm only, and I'm talking only the evidence that we've seen in court, only the witnesses in court, what they've put in front of us, I'm like, this is not really, and again, not talking about the Cassie video, this is not the most serious of offenses that he has committed, in my opinion. You know, if you date back to, again, we talked about the 1999 New York or Club New York shooting, you know, the freaking stampede, the basketball stampede where people died, the quad shooting. There's a lot of things that I think should have been looked into back in the day, and they weren't, and now here we are. So
I had hoped those things were involved. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, that's
and this is something, and I'm gonna say it in a very careful way, because I do know there is so many people that are peers in music that went quiet, and people that were around Puff that went quiet. Hey, I've been around a lot of rappers. Now, I'm not going to say every rapper has their girl getting fucked by a sex worker, but I will say this. If you talk about their personal sex life and how many women they deal with, how they wheel and deal, how they sometimes try to deal with those interpersonal relationships, 80% of hip hop should go to jail.
And that's
for sex trafficking.
So that is
if that's what we think it is, because a lot of these dudes, hey, I'm flying you out here. We're gonna do this. I'm flying out this other chick. Hey, y'all down with whatever? Yo, I'm gonna buy you a bag. There's rappers that are currently in the game who are doing this consistently, and this is kind of common.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of what people don't realize, you see that video of Diddy beating Cassie, that jumps off the page. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But and if we look at some of that, the sexual behavior, I'm like, I know a couple of dudes who they'll fly 4 or 5 girls out and they're expecting this and third, and they might not pay someone, but they say, here's a bag.
Well, that's my point. This stuff that we're hearing about in the courtroom, this is not standalone to Sean Combs. Like you just said, this happens a lot. However, again, I know it's not provable. Technically, there's lots of reasonable doubt there, but
Yeah, flying out
many
all these
of these people who do that, they also don't
I'm gonna fly you
attempt
out.
arson, I guess. And again, that's not proven. I
Get
know
you
it's
a
not
slice
proven,
of
and I agree with
pizza.
that. The investigation was sloppy, but I think intellectually we know who's
Hold up.
responsible.
In that
But it
case,
doesn't matter if you can't prove it in
True.
court. Then who cares? It's not.
is
Then
she
throw it out
being
the window.
trafficked right
So
now?
my whole point is,
Little,
from what
try to
we've
choke
seen
the box of
inside this
slices.
courtroom, this
Slice it. What
trial,
you doing
that's
with a little
it.
slice?
I do think that the case we talked about, it wasn't what we thought it would be. I was like, going into this case, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to have the driver. They're going to talk about the shooting. They're going to talk about this.
We thought
this and
J-Lo
that.
was going to
Yes.
prance into court
We're talking about bad behavior.
and say, yo, he threw the gun in my bag.
Yes.
He told me this. The driver was going to be like, he gave me a bribe.
Right.
I did.
We're talking about sloppy behavior, negligent.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want. You can have really.
When that came out, I think people felt safe to be like, oh, well, I went here with him and he was horrible to. I mean, it's like the list goes on. So,
Lauren, and this is where I want to ask you this question, and I'm not putting you on the spot. And by the way, it's also okay to just we could shift topics or even just not even answer.
Well, now I'm excited. What is it?
No, the reason, because I don't want you to speak as if you feel like you have to represent all women, right?
Yeah.
But because you are a woman, I do want to defer you on certain things. And I said that to my chat earlier. I said, I do like having Lauren give an opinion. I said yesterday, me and Unc, we kind of kicking it. I'm younger, he a little bit older. He's been through life a certain way. I've been through life. But I said, when Lauren brought up some things, she made me think, but it wasn't even on some like she's super emotional, like da. But it made me think about there is another angle that this could be evaluated on that won't be coming from the POV of maybe you or Unc. And that's why I think you're so important. So I guess what I'm saying is that as you're watching all of this and how it's hitting for you as a woman, did you, like I asked my chat queens and they'll send in donations or whatever, and they'll give me mixed opinions. Like, now listen, I'm a woman. This and third, man, she know what she was doing. There's certain women, she doesn't need $10,000 a month. These women know whatever. And then some of them will say, well, listen, and it might be harping back to some of their trauma. They're like, hey, listen, well, when a guy does this, that's that coercive behavior. That's that control. That's that, that's still, it's not as much in our control as maybe you would say, it's saying you're a grown-ass woman, you could leave. How did all this information hit you?
I don't want to go with the whole you can leave. I think that is like, I think that if we bring that up and it's like, come on, guys, it's like you're asking, and I'm not saying that this is the case for Jane, for Mia, whatever, but it's like you can't ask a battered wife why she didn't leave her abusive husband, and the next thing you know, she's dead. There are reasons, there are doctors to speak about this. I can't speak to everybody's individual experience, but what I can say is,
because if you ask a
it's
nigga,
important to be inside the courtroom
why he
when you're
shot that
listening
nigga in
to
the
this
back, he was
testimony
leaving.
or even overflow, because reading it is one
You're
thing, but
leaving.
seeing the emotions from these people, it totally hits differently. So in my opinion, like I said, I was moved by Cassie, right? Was I moved by Mia?
How quickly?
Like not so much,
Not to cut you, but how quickly? Because when we read it, she became emotional quickly.
It wasn't just her. It was just everything that, I mean, yes, it was her and it was her words, but it was just her composure and the fact that she already got money, right? She didn't necessarily have to do this. And this is some humiliating
No.
stuff.
She had to testify.
That's an awesome
She was for
Why she wasn't forced. You can't
sidebar. She had to testify.
What do you mean?
She was subpoenaed. Cassie had to testify. Cassie just didn't volunteer. Yeah, I'll testify. The government made her
She's
testify.
asked on the stand, did anybody force you to testify here today? And her answer is no. That's the whole thing. Like you don't.
All right, hold on.
I don't remember that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me throw this into the.
I don't remember that
right?
part because the basis of the criminal case is coming from her civil case. right? So
yeah, nobody forced her though. I don't know about Jane because you mentioned.
so you're
something
saying
about
Cassie
Jane.
willingly?
Yes, that's what I'm
Nah,
saying.
Wait,
no.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
No.
How about if the government, and I've always thought this, right? And I thought that's why I thought Cassie was the source of the leak of the video. How if the government said, hey, listen, based on what you described, there is a way and an angle that you're the Ghislaine Maxwell.
I thought you had said they said that about Jane, because I may have missed that, but didn't you mention that about Jane where they said you could be a co-conspirator or something like that? Or like, I don't even know.
And Cassie too, because she,
I would think Cassie, because if
she
Cassie
paid, it was
we've never heard
testimony
Diddy
has
paid
come
the
out.
guy. It was always Cassie, and Cassie called
she
them.
Paid the
she would search Craigslist for
the male entertainers.
Big dick black guys.
She was forced to testify.
I think that if you
Don't
pull,
you think they
if you
tried
pull up
to
the
say in her
transcript,
face?
you'll see one of the either the first or the last questions that they ask witnesses is number one, were you subpoenaed? That is, and number two, like some of the witnesses that.
Well, if she's in the indictment as victim one, she has to come and testify. Wasn't she victim one?
But you don't have to. She said, I
No,
don't
no,
want
no,
to.
no, no, wait, wait, wait.
No,
Guys,
so
nobody forced her to testify.
I disagree with that. 8,000%.
So it's in the idea of forced is how you're thinking. I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking that they approach her and they say, hey, listen, based on what we read on your civil suit, we're starting to investigate it. We're starting to find some things. Here's the thing, though. There's potentially a way, and by the way, this would never come out in trial. There's potentially a way that you and Diddy are both co-conspirators who recruited, prostitutes, flew them across state lines to indulge in this sex act called a freak off. You were the one who made the payments. You were the one who solicited them. You were the one who did a lot of stuff, and your lawsuit basically gives you an out. We don't believe that, though. We think you're in victim. Here's the thing, and this is where it's kind of like a twist of an arm, not a full force. Hey, if we're down to give you immunity because we think you're a victim too.
I mean, if that, listen, they could have approached her and said, would you be willing, if we open up a criminal investigation, would you be willing to testify? And would you be willing? All I know is, again, when these witnesses are questioned, they'll say, did you exercise? Like, basically, the witnesses that were subpoenaed, we know they're subpoenaed. Did they get immunity? We know they have immunity. Those are one of the first questions that they are asked. When it came to Cassie, it was very clear. Nobody forced you to testify.
Not necessarily
today.
Cassie was victim one in the indictment. She's got to come.
No,
and the feds ain't nice about it.
They're not short of
they're
what
not.
Unc is saying.
Okay, please. Are you sure?
It's like
that ain't how they getting down.
It's like what if you look at how authorities usually move. Okay, let's go to the bookkeeper. The bookkeeper is not going to say, hey, just because you sent me a subpoena, I'm here to tell all. But if you say, hey, listen, I'll give another example. I'll give the perfect example.
I mean, I can look for the transcript right now.
No, but you wouldn't know. Hold on, you wouldn't know.
But I'm saying just to show that she can't perjure herself and say that
she's a victim in the indictment.
It's not forced.
She's in the indictment as a part of the RICO.
Wait, hold on. Lauren, just listen to me for a second.
Okay.
So I've given this story up in the Tekashi 6ix9ine indictment. Me and Tekashi were friends. I was a media guy. Tekashi would send me videos. I would post it. He was trying to go viral. Okay. The feds came to me at Complex in Times Square. They were downstairs. The security and HR said, why the hell is HSI downstairs for you? I said, I have no idea. They said, we could get you out the back door. I said, I have committed no crime. They said, we'll talk to them and see if they have an arrest warrant. If they don't, do you want to speak to them? But we think you should get a lawyer. We could get you a lawyer. I'll shout a Complex for that. They said, we'll set up a room and we think you should hear them out, but don't answer no questions. Okay, and I'm going to try to fast track this. They show up and they basically say they want some things. So basically, Tekashi has sent me a video that was a video of a robbery. Okay? The video was posted to social media. I had the copy. There's a copy on his phone. They already had it. But I posted it to social media. They thought maybe he sent me another copy. So they brought me down, and so I got a lawyer, and they brought me down there, and they said, hey, listen, and this is what I'm saying. No one forced me to do nothing. That's what I'm saying. It's strategy. They said, check this out. We want this video. Of course, at first I said, well, I'm in the media. I have some protection on the sources that I have. I don't have to give you anything. Am I a witness or under investigation? Do you think I'm a suspect? They then say, well, there's an ongoing grand jury. We're going to put you in front of that grand jury. You're going to have to be testifying to indict one of the most dangerous gangs in New York. Do you want to do that? You could play hardball with us, but we're going to play hardball. That was a decision I had to make. The decision was you could play hardball with them, but they're telling you, they told me we have the video.
No, I
we
understand.
want the clear video, and we want the original video. So here's the thing. I don't think they threatened Cassie. I don't think the feds threatened me, but they put you in a situation to say, we could make your life a little bit unhappy. It's like if a murder happens.
I completely understand.
If a murder happens at a club, they go to the club and say, do you want your liquor license investigated? You're not going to give us a video of what happened? You want your liquor license investigated. It's not forcing you to give the video, but they compel you in a way where you have to. I think they had to. Even if Cassie was unwilling, we don't know if Cassie was unwilling. Maybe she was. According to the testimony, maybe she still has love for Puff. But they compelled her, and she said, I'm going to do it. The easiest way to compel her on face value in this case.
They wanted to try this again and it was a mistrial, let's say, they would need in order to get this case tried again, and she would have the right to say no because she was never actually forced to do it. Is all I'm like.
That's not true.
Yeah,
you can't say it.
I mean,
how could you? Like, how could it? Listen. What's count number? Sex trafficking in Cassie is what?
2.
Count 2. What's in the sexual prostitution in Cassie, right?
3.
She is on the verdict sheet. She was victim number 1. She has to testify.
Well, Gina was.
It's not like she could say like,
Gina
yeah.
said no because Gina wasn't. Guys,
no,
Gina
had
the right.
Gina absconded. Gina absconded and just said, "I'm not coming."
We also don't want to bulldoze her. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're not. You're not bulldozing me because I know how the law.
Wait, Lord, I want to ask you.
But we're not going to sit up here and say that she didn't have to testify.
Hold on, Lord. I want to ask you this
question. She chose to do this.
So, in this indictment,
she did choose.
Okay,
no.
So in this indictment, according to your belief, remember the feds.
No way.
There was no victim that contacted a local police officer.
Yeah.
Or anyone that connected them to the feds. The feds saw this in the media and said, I think there's something here. By the way, if we go back to Jimmy Henchman's case back in the day, they were investigating the possibility of Diddy doing some stuff. So they were waiting for something like this. Okay.
Right.
So they went to Cassie. Do you think that as soon as they went to Cassie, Cassie said, I will gladly?
I have no idea.
No, we're speculating.
I literally have no idea how that went down. I don't even want to speculate about that because it's so complicated. All I'm saying is Gina was supposed to testify as well, but Gina didn't show up. Her lawyer stopped returning phone calls. She wasn't forced. The victims, they're not forced to testify here. Like it's just not. It's not a
what
thing.
Do you constitute as force?
Wrong, man. You're wrong. That's bad information.
Force is like we are going to arrest you if you know what I mean, or you're going to be part of. Like that's just
absolutely.
Not,
you don't think that they said to Cassie, if you are uncooperative, which by the way, put it like this: you don't think they went to KK and say, hey, we don't believe you had all the knowledge of some of the things that Diddy has done. You were doing your job as chief of staff. And by the way, I think this is why KK, if Diddy gets convicted, is probably going to get indicted.
Absolutely.
Because if she could have said, I'm going to be a government witness, you get immunity. Because they want Diddy. They're going to have you testify as a co-conspirator
Unindicted co-conspirator.
Unindicted co-conspirator.
I just think,
Unindicted
like,
co-conspirator.
It's almost like if you have a case, you want to charge a man with domestic violence, you can't move the case forward unless you have the quote unquote star witness, which would be, let's say, the wife that he beat. You know what I mean? They're not going to force that wife to testify. They're not going to say they're going to say, okay, well, if you don't, then, he's going to continue to do what he does and get away with it.
Wrong.
Whatever. And they're going to either drop the case or they're going to, you know what I mean?
Let me look
Or
at the comments. Let me see what's going on.
Wrong.
No. Well, again,
There's no way. Cassie is count number 2, sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. Count number 3, Mann Act transportation of Cassie Ventura. Cassie Ventura was integral in the attempted arson.
But no one's saying that
she was in the video. She had to testify.
Lauren,
she didn't have.
I'm
She didn't say, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." She had already got her 20 million.
Lauren, I'm in the middle with this. I don't think she was forced. I think the government. I think knowing how the government and law enforcement work, they don't ask nicely and you just respond, "Oh no, I'm good." I think they twist the arm of everyone. I think they twist the arm of everyone.
Meetings. Of course, this is a really difficult thing. I mean, that's why I said it's really.
You don't think they twisted her arm? You think it was completely voluntary?
Lauren, I've been to federal prison, man. I know how these people work. They're not giving you no choice.
Maybe they convinced her. Maybe
Feds don't work that way.
They aided her decision with, whatever.
Twisted her arm, or you think completely voluntary?
I think that we're missing the point. I don't think they said we are gonna arrest you if you do not.
No, we're gonna indict you.
I don't think that. I personally don't think that is what happened. And also, they wouldn't be able to get up there and ask her that direct question.
Okay.
Did anyone force you to be here today?
Okay.
Did anyone force you to testify? No, they didn't. They wouldn't be able to ask her that because she
Lauren,
would say, well, I didn't want to, but you guys threatened to indict me on
Lauren,
XYZ count.
Let me ask you a question. Well, why do it? You got the money already. Why do it?
That is exactly my point, you guys, is that she's up there and she's reading through the most humiliating, disgusting, cringy text messages because she wants what she feels like is justice. I'm not saying
she
this
says
is coming
she
from
loves
me.
him still.
You guys are misinterpreting like that I'm feeling this or I'm emotional. I am just spitting out the facts and the details.
Well, you're trying to speak for her. You're telling us that you thinking for her.
I'm telling you what she said on the stand. That's all I'm saying. I am saying I'm literally regurgitating.
No, she did say that. You're right.
What she said on the stand. Like all of these people, I can't tell you what is in her heart and why she testified. I can't. But what I can say, and again, if you want to just pull up the transcript, you can just settle this right here.
Hold on.
Right here and right now.
Lauren, all right, could I make a point to you?
Please.
And by the way, I want to mention to everyone, we love Lauren. This is a obviously we're in the space of now opinions.
But this is not an opinion, I guess. It's like what I'm trying to say. It's not an emotional opinion of any kind.
But it does lean into it because some of these things wouldn't be known. Like, for example.
But you want me to read minds of what I'm saying? I'm talking about what happened on the stand, what was said.
But we have to make an assumption. For example, when it comes to Jane Doe, right? And I know we're not talking about Cassie, we're talking about Jane Doe. Did she say she was forced to testify?
I don't recall that specifically.
Okay.
So I can't argue that point. Yeah.
Okay. However, was there a part of her testimony when they said to her, hey, but you're here testifying against Puff, and she seemed surprised? Is that true?
Yes, but she did not. And guess what? Something else. Cassie and Jane did not come in and have to get immunity.
You may get a little excited when you shop at Burlington.
What a low price! You see that? They have my favorite brand!
So because the assistants and the stylist, they all said, we intend to plead the fifth, and Judge Submaranian signed the immunity order for them.
Right.
But do you believe that Cassie and Jane testified?
Maybe they signed something before.
Okay, but we got to use like common sense here.
Sure.
You think that Cassie, play this. Mm-hmm. The two charges we think are gonna stick are prostitution. Cassie called the prostitutes. Cassie paid the prostitutes. You think that her lawyer, Douglas Whitford, who got her $20 million from Diddy and 10 from Intercontinental Hotel, did not say, we're not going to go admit that we were paying people for basically prostitution without an immunity
They're
deal.
saying, yes, I mean, sure, but they're, again, part of the whole case is they're saying that these women were coerced and forced to do this. But sure, yeah, of course they should get an immunity deal if they have to sit there and say,
we're not
I
denying
did this
that.
illegal
The point
activity.
we're trying to say is that they may have gotten an immunity deal that was not mentioned in court. I do think that was odd.
That
it wasn't mentioned.
That's totally plausible, and I'm sure that was a thing. But again, not mentioned when they're being questioned. And when you are a victim like this, or whatever, it's just a known thing. Like you're not forced.
By the way,
they don't have a case.
By the way, also, if we look at the federal rules of evidence, which by the way affected how both of them were being questioned, there were a lot of things left out. By the way, they mentioned Jonathan Odie. Jonathan Odie claimed in his interview that he had
forgot about that guy.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
he got a settlement because he contracted an
NDA
STD from them. Okay, right? There was no conversations about sexual history or sexual health in terms of STDs. Why? That would be against the federal rule of evidence for sex victims. So let me point. The point is that and again, I could be wrong. I should probably consult like an actual attorney. We should consult an actual attorney on a lot of things. But I don't think they could question the victims on that because every other person was questioned. It doesn't make sense they question every other person other than the victims. Do you have a immunity deal? There was no question to Jane Doe about an immunity deal. There was no question to Cassie. There was a question to Deontay Nash. There was a question to I think even Mia, right?
I don't remember specifically.
Maybe not Mia, but Mia,
definitely Brianna Bongolan got one.
There was everybody was an assistant. Hey, we need the immunity in court now. So I am assuming, and it's just off of, because again, they kept referring to these rules, and I had to read up on them and really learn them. Hey, it's a federal rule of evidence 208B. And I'm like, okay, you get to realize sexual history or STDs cannot be brought up. UTI was one of the only things you heard.
Right.
Like, if you think that it was doing all that fucking, and there was only UTIs being passed, you ain't hear about no chlamydia, no gonorrhea.
I know.
Ain't one motherfucking, like, come on, right?
I mean, there was I think there was some text messages we saw during one of the summary witnesses where Cassie had said she wanted to be more careful and that she needed to go and get tested, but that is also like the closest that they ever got.
She said sores on the tongue. I started thinking what STD that could be.
Yeah, that was, that she said was from the baby oil as well, and like touching. I know.
I asked my chat queens this morning, I said, have y'all ever did so much fellatio that there was sores on your tongue?
Look, I'm reading something. I looked this up. In a federal criminal case, victims are often required to testify, and they can be compelled to do so by a subpoena. If a victim refuses to testify after being subpoenaed, they could potentially face consequences like being held in contempt of court. However, there are some exceptions and considerations, particularly in cases involving vulnerable individuals like children or victims of domestic violence or sexual assault. Subpoena. A subpoena is a legal document. Consequences of refusal. Refusal to comply with the subpoena can lead to contempt of court charges, which may result in fines or even jail time. So,
yeah, we can read general laws. That's totally.
Well, you trying to dismiss?
I just feel like, again, if they're on the stand asking her a direct question, she has to answer truthfully, or else that's perjury.
She's in the indictment. She's in the indictment.
So I think Uncle's just trying to say,
she's in the indictment.
Maybe not forced, but she's compelled.
She's the key witness. She's the star witness.
In a way.
She's
right. She's
got
compelled in a way, right? Like I mean, the whole trial, they denied Diddy's motion to push
forced
it back.
To go there.
They
forced.
denied Diddy's motion to push it back because she was gonna have a child. It's not that they're like, oh, okay, Gina could not show up
because she could have said, "Oh, I'm pregnant. I can't come." All right, don't worry about it. You pregnant? We don't need you.
They basically said we can't find Gina no more. We good. But it was clear they needed Cassie.
She was forced.
I mean,
100%.
I wouldn't say forced. Like, so I'm in the middle.
I'm saying forced.
I'm saying compelled.
But then she would have to say, "Yes, I was forced to be here today." Like that's what
She
I
don't have to say that because she's in the indictment. She's victim
Well,
number
if they
one.
ask her
Well,
on the
imagine
stand,
she's
you're-
forced because
She's
it's of her own self-survival.
Sexual
If you don't
trafficking.
do this,
Guys,
you might.
I'm literally just again regurgitating what was said on the stand and what she said and how.
Yeah, but okay, go ahead.
Like, but that's literally, it's not any more complicated than that. She was directly asked, "Did anyone force you to be here?" She answered no. I am taking that. There was no objections to that from the defense, so I am taking that as her word, and I am taking that as
They
truth.
should have asked about a deal, and a deal would be the force.
But then why wouldn't his
Let me ask you a question.
multi-million-dollar defense attorneys bring that up? So
because the federal rule of evidence, you cannot when someone is listed as a victim, the way they treated Jane Doe, Mia, because Mia accused Diddy of sexual assault too, and the way they treated Cassie was very different than them assistants.
She cooperated.
There was every time there was objections, 209, objections to, and it was all about federal. You cannot have a potential sexual assault victim and just go completely crazy. Remember, they were trying to get into, I can't remember who, sexual history, and it was all barred. They could not do it. I can't remember who it was.
I don't remember either.
They were trying to bring in someone's, because in sexual assault, her sex history doesn't matter. She could fuck 3 million niggas. It doesn't matter. You have to talk about her sexual history with that person or something pertinent.
I just think that when you start speculating on this stuff, it just gets really muddy and it gets a little bit dangerous.
She cooperated against Puff. She became an informant. She's a rat. And in order to save herself, in order to save herself, she had to testify against Puff in order to save herself.
And you can definitely speculate on that.
That's
but I
no
don't think
speculation.
But I'm saying that we
Lauren,
shouldn't.
I need to be friends with her.
Oh.
The women are loving.
No, but the thing is, this is where I think it's just getting confused. Like again, I have no emotional feeling, no emotional reaction to this. I am just not speculating like you guys are as to what happened behind closed doors.
Well, we have
I
to
am
speculate
telling
to
you,
some
don't
extent.
have to speculate because I think that's where all of a sudden that's where misinformation spreads. And that's, I think, part of the problem. We don't know what happened. Maybe Cassie will do a tell-all and tell us exactly what happened, exactly what went down. But for now, while this man's life is on the line and all of this is going on, we can only weigh what we
The jury should not do the speculation, but what we're kind of
I
breaking
guess
this down.
I do feel like I want to be a credible source for people.
Yeah.
So I can't sit here like and confidently say, yeah, you're right. They twisted Cassie's arm because they told her
she's a rat.
Yeah, I can't say that. And
She
I also don't necessarily think that I 100% believe that either. Because again, I've seen cases dropped when their star witness can't
I'm
testify.
in between both of y'all because
she's a rat.
Okay, I do believe she cooperated because they probably compelled her. I don't believe she's a rat though, because here's the thing: in domestic violence or sexual cases, there is no rat. Right? When
you take the stand,
like if you call it like if any, I think if a gangster dude calls the cops on his girl or girl calls, that's not a rat. That is a domestic violence situation in sexual assault cases. If you knew your friend R-worded a girl and you cooperated with the government, I don't think you're a rat. If you believe he R-worded her, sex trafficked her, those are things where it's just as a man
against Puff. Period.
No, she did.
She cooperated against
that.
Jane. Everybody who got on the stand cooperated against him. Period.
Are you
D-Rock did not cooperate. His name is all in the case.
But
KK
D-Rock wasn't getting fucked.
Right, but he's a part of it. They have him a part of the enterprise.
Yeah, but
they have him a part of the conspiracy. KK's name is all throughout this trial.
Has
Gina
no
didn't
reason
come
to think he's a victim. Cassie is stuck in between what we were doing consensual or was I a victim, and how much has this man done for me? And yes, maybe even if you want to believe she got brainwashed into thinking, no, you're a victim. If she believes she's a victim, she's not ratting. It would be so, irresponsible to tell a woman like, yo, if you're speaking up against your abuser, you're a rat. Right?
She cooperated because she was a conspirator. She was the one that initiated the first freak off with Punisher.
No, he brought it up. She said she wanted to fulfill his fantasy.
Well, whatever the case may be, she reached out to him. She contacted him first. He came. She introduced herself. She was the first one she met. She paid him, right?
Okay.
She from that, the government knows you participated in this conspiracy along with Sean Combs. We're gonna indict you unless you agree to testify against Sean Combs to say that you were trafficked or you were forced or coerced, and that's where it is. She did not voluntarily wake up and say, "Yeah, I got my 20 million chilling. I got 10 coming from Intercontinental, and you know what? I'm just gonna come down there pregnant in my third trimester and get on the stand and just be a part of this thing and embarrass myself in front of my husband and embarrass myself in front of the world."
Why do you think
no
that I was
way,
so,
man?
and that is again why, and same.
Traveling solo is an adventure. But there's one thing that shouldn't be a part of your journey: losing your connection. Moving freely without worrying about losing your signal is possible. With unlimited data in over 200 destinations, traveling solo doesn't mean being disconnected.
Olafly, peace of mind, always. It's so simple.
Not nice. They don't ask permission.
You're missing the point.
I'm not missing no point. I'm listening to you.
I am trying to deliver accurate information as to what we've
Right,
seen
but you're
go
implying
on with this
you're
case.
implying something that
What
ain't
we
true.
heard again
From somebody that's gone through it.
Nobody perjured themselves on the stand when it came to Cassie. That would have been called out by the defense. They would, and also like
The 17th floor
there are
balcony
also
incident was
many-
perjury.
Yes, and they called that out.
By the way,
But we're not talking
I
about
think
that.
The disconnect here is that
You can have feelings, but I'm talking facts.
No.
Your
wait.
feelings might be correct.
I'm
though.
talking
Your
facts
feelings
too.
might be
I've
correct.
been through it.
Like,
I've been through it.
You guys,
I know
here's
how
the
it goes.
disconnect. You're talking facts as it pertains to what came out in trial. He believes he's talking facts as how the feds move.
yes, he's talking in general. In general, this is an in general
it's not
thing.
really in general. The feds are gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah,
hold on. And I'm sorry to cut you off. The feds, as much as we're saying we're talking facts, the feds use the indictment or use a lawsuit of Rodney Jones to get a search warrant and never use him as a. So the feds ain't playing fair. So this idea that, oh no, if the feds did it, it would come out in trial. No, they never mentioned Rodney Jones. They mentioned
Because
everything.
Maybe he wasn't a good witness for them.
But here's the
because
thing:
of his,
their entire. No, I agree with you. But their
they
entire.
don't have to mention him. Like,
No. Okay, but hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the idea of the fruit of the poisonous tree? So you got a search warrant, a federal search warrant based upon someone who you didn't even deem credible to be a witness for you. That's the only reason why you were able to enter his house at 2-Star Island and then the other house in Los Angeles. You got it because of salacious, maybe speculative or lies that was filed in a civil suit. You use this as probable cause.
I mean, guys, and I also think that anybody
I'm only making a point of
right.
The feds don't play fair.
But I guess what I'm saying is here, guys, yesterday you saw me on this channel say that I think many aspects of this case are ridiculous. So I'm not sitting here saying that the government is the end all be all. I've never said that. I've never thought this was 100, like this was a solid case here. And I said that specifically when it comes to like their biggest piece of evidence being the baby oil. All I'm saying is you just can't, you can't put words in someone's mouth or
Lauren,
put.
You have a soft spot for Cassie, and I completely understand.
100%.
It's
Yeah.
And by the way, here's the thing.
For a girl that got beat up on a regular, I do have a bit of a soft spot for her. But this has,
by the way,
I think
you
you're
saying that, and that's why this broadcast is great. That this is what the jury is going to be battling with.
But my soft spot has nothing to do with what she said. I wasn't forced to testify. That has nothing to do with it.
No, not necessarily forced, but put like this. Do you think that? Remember, so
I know the government has tricks. I'm not
no tricks.
Listen. Saying that, oh, I was forced to give them info for the search warrant. No, He wasn't forced. He was probably compelled. Also, there's a financial incentive for him. Obviously not for Cassie, because Cassie already got it. Go ahead.
United States Attorney's Office, District of New Jersey. Victims and witnesses, understanding your rights and the federal court system. Introduction. Victims of crime and other people who have knowledge about the commission of a crime are often required to testify at a trial or at other court proceedings. The federal criminal justice system cannot function without the participation of victims and witnesses. Complete cooperation and truthful testimony of all witnesses and victims are essential to the determination of the guilt or innocence of a person accused of committing a crime.
Is
Cassie don't show up.
I think we're going in circles because
Is a
again,
subpoena force?
they wouldn't have a case without Cassie, and so this case would be weaker without Cassie. If Cassie was like, "Nah, I'm out," like Gina, this case would be weaker. If we had Gina, maybe it would be stronger. Who knows?
Without Cassie, there's no case.
Well, there you go. So
It's impossible. Cassie laid the groundwork.
Do you think she volunteered to come and testify?
No. I think she was compelled, and I think
it was mandatory.
Hey, put it like this: the mere
mandatory.
Fact, and by the way, again, I know,
guys, I'm not going to argue with you anymore because on this point, it is so far fetched at this point to sit here and think that she could not walk away from testifying, and you're saying that if she walked away, they would have arrested her and indicted her.
No. We're not going that far, but
you
it's
are,
about
and
compelling.
you have.
Wait, hold on.
You have
Absolutely.
already. See, that's what I'm saying.
Well, she's going that far. I'm not going that far.
I don't agree with that, and so we can just
Why do
leave
you
it at
think
that.
that Douglas Wigger is in there? And by the way, I think he even addressed the judge at a point. Listen, he's in there because number one, our client's in court, not because she got $20 million on her money counter broke, so she just got some free time to go to court. She's in there because she's compelled to be there, and her lawyer who got her the $20 million and got her 10 from Intercontinental, they're saying, hey, listen, don't perjure yourself because we got the bag already. Let's not fuck this up. Let's do what the government want to do. We could never get any criminal prosecution as opposed to anything. If we're talking about some of these acts in terms of RICO, you don't think Cassie done passed out drugs? We heard Cassie is with more drugs than Diddy. Cassie was taking more drugs than Diddy. We heard Cassie paying all the prostitutes. Cassie was texting them, yo, I need this guy. I need this guy. Yo, I don't want him. I want him. Cassie seems like a co-conspirator in some sense, and I think that that's the compelling. I'll concede to you that it's all voluntary. But if you don't think the government had any leverage over Cassie and they were like so nice to her, like, hey, Cassie, I know you got $20 million and I know you're thumbing through the check. Do you want to come through to help us get this guy in jail? And she was like, of course. Let me pause my money counter.
I don't think it was as simple as that.
What do you think
I don't pretend to know. I know that there was many, many meetings, and I'm sure Cassie thought about this for a very long time.
This was complex, by the way. They even brought up the fact, they said, hey, listen, during part of your testimony, your husband might have to leave because he might be an impeachment witness. Why do you think she was signed up to bring her husband to the courtroom, have her husband listen to all the things that you think her husband have to listen to? Yeah, when Diddy was piping you out, I was calling you.
She's going to voluntarily come and get that information.
And again, guys,
I'm going to volunteer this information.
Stop it.
While I'm pregnant with your next kid. I just want to let you know, when I was with you at first, I was still letting Diddy hit, and then you called me one night, but Diddy was hitting it so good I couldn't even answer the phone.
I mean, guys, my emotions are out of this. Whether or not I have a soft spot for someone who got the crap kicked out of them has nothing to do.
We're not saying she's not a victim.
But, and I'm not saying, I'm not even going there. Like, I'm not. So it's just like, I have said, I have been incredibly fair when covering this. And again, I have no issue saying when something is ridiculous, when I feel like this is just, this case is weak on many levels. But like, I have to just stand firm on the fact that if she wanted to walk away, she would have walked away and they would have had a much weaker case.
Okay.
And she would not be in handcuffs right now.
Okay. So to not go in circles, I'll just ask you this final question. Do you believe that when this trial started in about 7 or 8 weeks ago, if Cassie had changed her mind and said, I'm not coming, there will be no recourse and no repercussions from the United States government, who has built and spent millions of dollars to pursue and prosecute one Puff Daddy, aka Sean
They would have
Combs.
had to keep all the evidence that she gave, because keep in mind, she's the one that brought forth the laptops, the cell phones, all of this evidence. And if she said, I'm not going to testify, well, they'd have to move forward at that point without her testimony. And that's that.
I know they will move forward, but
Yeah.
you think there's no recourse. It's just like, all right, she's not coming, fuck it. They would
I mean,
treat it
again,
like,
I'm not like, I can't
again,
predict the future, but I don't, what would, you're saying they would turn around and make a case against her and then all of a sudden add her to the indictment, or no, I don't think
no,
that
I'm
would.
not going that far. I'm saying that it was part of an immunity deal or a proffer deal. They brought her in for a proffer session, right?
Maybe, I'm assuming, but again, I don't know all
In
the
the
details.
proffer session, it's basically an agreement. Hey, listen, you're going to provide this information, and this information, we're not going to prosecute you, but you have to provide it not only in our conversations. How many times, and Unc, you know this, how many times she met with the government?
Who?
Cassie.
I don't remember how many times she met.
But it was multiple times. And by the way, real quick, Jamie, Joe, thank you for the 10. He says, you guys, I love. Yes, he said love 3 times. I love this panel. The difference of opinions, the difference in thoughts, even when y'all are hearing the same things in court. Thanks for keeping it really real and bringing the truth. So appreciate that person.
And I love that too. I can't believe this I literally was quoting from a transcript. Cassie was asked if she had to be here or not, and her answer was no. I'm going off of that, and somehow this turned into like,
wait, do you think she wasn't subpoenaed?
No, she helped them make the case. She gave them all the evidence. She was working with them from the start. I mean,
but you believe there was not even a
I
subpoena
am not going to
for
surmise. I am not going to surmise.
But if we're going by that statement to say she didn't have to be here, a subpoena says you have to be here. Am I wrong?
No, she wasn't subpoenaed.
Okay.
No,
All right.
she gave all the evidence that she could, the laptops, the cell phones, whatever. And again, this is not my emotions. This is just
no. I don't think it is
facts from the trial.
I think you're going by what you heard in the trial. I understand what Unc is saying, because the feds have different ways to elicit or get what they want, and they're gonna.
And I agree with that. I agree that they have their strategies, and and I'm not sitting here saying that they were like, Cassie, you good? And she's like, yeah, I'm good. Let's do this. Like, I don't think it was like that at all. I just don't know what it was like. So I'm not going to pretend like I do know what it was like.
They twisted her arm and say, bring your ass up in here and bring your husband too. Like, that nigga could be in the front row hearing about how Diddy used to do you. You think she's a rat? You think all of them ratted on Puff?
She cooperated for the government, on behalf of the government, to get a conviction against Sean Combs. That's it. She testify and be asked all about her sex life and have all of these explicit texts into her personal private bedroom life, so her kids can hear for the rest of their lives, and her husband is sitting in court knowing that she was continuing to have sex with Puff after the fact they got together. Who would volunteer for that, right? She had to testify to save herself, is what I believe.
Hey, by the
by
way,
force.
Drain Masters, thank you for the 10. He says, yo, listen, I'm going to keep it a being with y'all. Cassie's husband made her do this. That was his plan. She damn near says she's still in love with Diddy on the stand. Do you believe that the husband, Alex Fine, and again, we're in speculative land now, Lauren. We are. Do you believe, what do you think his role is? Again, you're with this woman. Now, here's the thing. I do give him a lot of credit. There was people at first saying, oh my God, he's going to hear things that he's going to leave her. No, they've discussed these things. She probably has some trauma. They've probably gotten through it. He's probably heard all the stories. Everything he heard now was probably not the first time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think he was definitely supportive. But do you think he was probably the battery behind her back for the lawsuit and maybe her taking a stand?
I have no idea this guy's personality. I have no idea anything about him. So I I don't know. I can't answer that question without knowing what type of personality he has. I know me personally, if it was me.
Well, they're looking at like, nigga was broke. Like he
No,
broke,
but
he getting $200 a week to train people.
And
they're
she got
backing with the
money.
mother. He looking at her like, damn, you was a maid chick. You used to have the Jaguar, the 5 apartments.
Wait, are you saying about the lawsuit itself or about
the whole thing? The whole thing. And also, let me tell you this. I said this early on my stream, like weeks ago. I said, as a man, when you know there's another guy that's been with your woman in a certain way, you ain't never gonna be happy until it's the same thing with 50 and Diddy. You ain't never gonna be happy until that man either locked up or not on this earth. The way that Diddy was having some of these chicks is like,
well, I'm sure that he encouraged her with the lawsuit. As far
it's
as
the only way you can make it make sense.
I have no idea what he's like. I think that, like, my personal experience, if I was in that situation, my husband would probably be like, well, if you want to do it, I'll support you. If you don't, I'll support you either way. But with the lawsuit, yeah, I'm sure he
it's like the boyfriend who says, you cheated on me, and she said, I didn't mean to do it, but I did do it. You fucked another guy. She said, I didn't mean to do it. So what you mean? He took it non-consensually, and she said, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what happens. That happened. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, that's from what they say. That was the reason she testified that he raped her.
The R word, right?
Right.
Hey, you're now confronted about your infidelity. You say, no, I wasn't willing.
To your husband only, but you don't think that he's gonna.
But there is no further action on. Listen, and I only say that, and I say that out of personal experience. A chick one time when I confronted her, she said, yeah, I think that nigga took advantage of me. So I'm furious. Let's go to the police. Let me meet up with him. I'm ready to crash out, Unc. I'm ready to crash. She was capping like a motherfucker, man. She was capping. I found out later, yeah, she did get a little bit inebriated, but she know what she was doing. She'd been flirting with this guy for weeks on end. You know, she was being elusive to me. And when that happened, and she never expected me to find out, she couldn't take the accountability of, I did wrong. So she said,
I volunteered for this.
She said, I wasn't doing anything. And the thing that got me furious, she said, I don't know what happened. If something happened, I wasn't with it. And I said, so you mean to tell me this was non-consensual? I went almost so crazy, I almost took penitentiary chances. Then I realized she sold me up the river. After that, I said, never again. We got to go to the cops. I'm not going to crash out. Now I'm in jail. You still with the dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or another dude.
So, again, but I'm not saying that's Cassie. Because
guys, I don't care what you say about Cassie. Yeah. Like she is not my friend. She is
now
not.
Love Cassie.
Literally, again, I am not taking any type of emotional stance. I just, yeah. Anyway,
you guys have different views on Cassie's statement. Did you guys not feel anything with Jane Doe?
She cooperated too.
No, I get that, but
I felt not.
You felt she was a hoe. Be honest.
No, I'm not gonna. I felt like if, let's say, Diddy gets up out of this courtroom, walks away a free man, I feel like she'll be waiting for him at the door.
You think that she'll still fuck with him? If he say, yo.
Yes. Did you see? I mean.
Oh, I didn't.
Of course.
Yes,
absolutely,
I do.
100%.
Jane Doe?
Or
100%.
I think that, again,
if he's with it.
If Jay-Z approached her in 2022 and she's with Diddy and he says, hey, come be, I'll take it. I think that she would have left Diddy for him. I'm not going to say that. I just think that she had
100%.
something about her that seemed like she didn't really want to work.
Lauren, is she a hoe or not? Lauren, you got to be honest.
Lauren,
I know.
say it.
She gave the whole box.
Sean knows I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say anything.
Lauren ain't going to say that.
She's a mother. I respect that she's a mother.
A mother could be a hoe.
But you know what kills me? Yeah. Sorry. And now I'll be very honest. Yeah. Couple things. When she's like, our first date was he took me to the Faena Hotel and it lasted 5 nights. I was like, I need permission like 3 days in advance to go to dinner for 2 hours. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm choking. Like, it is not, a mother cannot just pick up and leave on a date that's supposed to be for what, 2 to 3 hours, come back 5 days later.
Yeah.
Like
the rumor was
that's when I was like, wait, how?
The gossip is that the
Sorry, pepperoni in my
the child's
throat.
grandparents.
Yes,
He
her
spends
mother.
he spends most of the time
with the
grand-
father's mom
No, the
with the
mother's.
mother's grandparents.
Yeah.
Oh,
They take care of him mostly more than she does. That's
so
the rumor.
Diddy was never around the child, really.
Huh?
Diddy wasn't around the child as much. He was freaking off with the woman.
Yeah.
But the kid was around the grandparents, but that's her mother and father.
I mean, I just did
That
not.
was the rumor
I did
around the
not
courtroom.
like how she was. Not that I didn't like it, but I'm like, that's not really real life. You can't just pick up for 5 days and leave. And then when she said, then she the next month she goes on a 9-day vacation with him to Bahamas and Turks.
Was it
I'm
15
like,
days? It was
yeah,
9
it was
days in
something- yes,
9 days in
crazy.
Turks,
6.
15 in Bahamas, 6 in the
I mean,
Bahamas.
again, I went
In a row.
I went away for this trial for 4 days in December, and my world almost collapsed
Yeah.
because of how much work I had to prep for my children. I just am like, that's not real life to me.
Lauren, you're not into the whole life. The whole life you say fuck the kids. That's what happened. She's a hoe. You realize
But
that
then
she a hoe.
I can say it. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything, but you know how I felt. Like
Were you
I
judging her?
respect-
Be honest.
I
Did you
respect that
judge
she's.
her?
I try not to judge other mothers, but with that being said, leaving your kid
Yeah.
to go
Chase some
on
dick in Turks and
not
Bahamas.
not a great look, guys. Not a great look to me, and not a great look for the jury, I'm sure.
Hey, by the way, Dreamlit Beats, I don't know how he sent this, but he said, I'm a blind guy here from the UK. He says, I love hearing your voices. I hope you keep doing lives after the trial. Shout out to my boy Dreamlit Beats. He's a frequent
Shout out to
contributor.
Dreamlit Beats in
nice.
the UK.
And by the way, I was listening to you guys on the way here, and when you were talking about your son who was 18 months old and said, I love you, daddy, and you're like, why? I almost cried when you're like, because I hate myself right now. I was like, oh my gosh. And that is just like, that is such an honest thing to say. And it's such like it made me so sad, but it also kind of made me happy in a way, because your kids always love you unconditionally, no matter what. So no matter what Jane did, no matter how much she wasn't around, her son will always love her. I mean,
Speaking about kids then, right?
You got
Puff-
kids?
Nah, I don't got none yet, man.
How old
But-
are you?
Shit, I'm 34, man. Yo,
Oh, you a baby, man.
Yo, Buster confronted me about that, man.
Who
You
did?
don't have
Busta Rhymes,
kids?
he said, man, because he saw me on Father's Day. He said, you don't got no kids yet?
You a baby, man. You got plenty of time. I didn't have Sean until I was 42.
Really? Hey, so all right, let me ask you this question. Speaking about kids, we're watching Puff's kids show up. I was watching the body language of Christian, and I really think that's his twin. And
Totally.
like his body language was like, especially this last 2 days after closing, it's like I'm wondering if he's like, man, y'all about to take. He's a spitting image of him.
Yes, he
He
is.
still does the same dances from the era that Diddy was popping in.
Yeah.
Diddy also sent him a note. You have to carry on the legacy. Don't be distracted. Diddy looks at him very different. When it comes to children, right? When it comes to children, he also has a very young child. How do you think that's weighing on them? How much do you think maybe he has? Again, I'm not saying that he's guilty, but maybe some regret saying, I spent a lot of time chasing these honeys, all these women. But now my kids, we hear about a 19-year-old. Did I show you? No, I showed the stream earlier. We found a 19-year-old that he supposedly was with. She had wished him happy birthday like the year before, and they had a picture together. None of those women are there. Only the baby mamas, the mother of his child, and his children. What do you think they're feeling and he's feeling?
Puffy is TMZ is already reporting. Who's the white dude on TMZ? Levine?
Levin, yeah.
Levin?
Harry Levin.
Yeah.
He's already reporting that he was found guilty on the 4 charges, right?
Really? Is he?
Yeah. So Puffy's devastation is an understatement, man.
I don't think he's gonna sleep well tonight.
If
That's for sure.
if he knows that they came back guilty, and that they're, he's hurt, man.
I mean, Harvey Levin, he shouldn't. I'm sure he's assuming, right, that it's going to be all guilty at this
Look
point.
at it on your phone. I just
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. If he's saying that, knowing his reputation, he probably has some source that knows one of the jurors. And as much as they say don't speak to no one, they done texted someone, yo, we done agreed.
Let me see.
If Harvey's saying it, his reputation, you remember TMZ is still the outlet that report.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
Hey, we're how ridiculous.
In the media business, they pay law enforcement sources, they pay federal sources, they'll pay the people CNN won't pay, they'll get to it. And if he's saying that and he says he got it from a source, I'm believing Harvey Levin. I'm believing.
Pull it up.
Levin.
I don't. I mean, I'm looking. I don't know what. Can you just send it to me? Text it to me.
Yeah,
He's.
uh,
I mean, and also keep in mind, like they are going to appeal the crap out of this. If you call for 3
Alexander
mistrials,
Shapiro's
and
ready.
they are so ready. They are, finger on
She's
the button
ready.
right now.
So wait, the rumor was that Harvey Levin is saying that there's a guilty on all 4.
I don't know. That's why I want to see, and we can read it. Let's see.
If that's the case, we gotta put Diddy on suicide watch. It's no way. It might be Aaron Hernandez.
Wait, that's actually a really good point. They should watch him.
The jury has reached unanimous decisions on 4 of the 5 counts. The problem is that 5th count means that we don't get to find out what the verdicts are on the other 4 because they are hung up on racketeering, which is what we talked about for days now. That racketeering from the get-go has been the problematic count
It is a
for
very
the prosecution.
complicated charge.
And a lot of people saying it's square peg, round hole, that we know that there are multiple jurors on both sides. It's not just one holdout, that on racketeering, they are stuck. But they have reached a decision on sex trafficking as it results with Cassie. They've reached a decision on the Mann Act, the interstate transportation of a sex worker as to Cassie. They have reached a decision, unanimous, on sex trafficking as to Jane, and they have reached a decision on the Mann Act as to Jane.
So what does this mean? What's confusing is all of those things that you just said are also included in the racketeering count.
So we don't know what the vote is.
So we don't know what the vote is. It's hard to read what they possibly came up with.
Let me read between the lines on what you're saying, because what Charles, I think, it's just a valid point that you need to find 2 crimes in order to apply the RICO statute, the racketeering statute. If they found Diddy guilty on the Mann Act, which is the most likely as to both Jane and Cassie, those are 2 illegal counts. And therefore,
So we think they'd have enough.
So what I'm saying to you is, and I said to you all along, which is Diddy really the racketeer that people are used to hearing?
And so you think that perhaps there's a juror or
No.
Oh.
I think we didn't get a definitive.
He didn't. I was wrong when I said that.
who
we
are
didn't get a definitive.
confused about the racketeering. Like, how can this be racketeering if it's just Diddy doing it?
And the reason I say that is we know
Because
early
you-
on there was
people-
one juror, remember, where the jury said he's not following the law.
Juror 25.
And I said to you, I think this is a racketeering charge. That it just
That's the one they were hung up on.
So we don't know as to the other 4 whether Diddy has been found guilty or not guilty. But there's a hint that with Cassie,
I think
We don't know, y'all. I was wrong on that.
No, but I mean, like most lawyers are assuming that they're guilty on Cassie. I mean,
Guilty on
that
on Jane as well.
and well, no, they haven't got, and then just guilty on the Mann Act charges. Again, they're leaning towards. They're saying, "Oh, this is not good for Diddy, not good for Diddy," because they think that basically if he wasn't guilty of all of those things, they would just say no to racketeering type of thing. But again, I think they're hung up on the co-conspirator aspect and the criminal enterprise, like we discussed. But
Can I ask y'all a question? And this is going to be a speculative question, and we're going to use pseudonyms for this. But the individual that you believe they considered Bear, who may have showed up to court, if Diddy does get found guilty, do you think that his criminal exposure is now front and center? Because if they've deemed this behavior from another one of his peers as illegal, as sex trafficking, as racketeering, when there is a whole conglomerate in a company facilitating it, do you think he should probably either seize the behavior or look to try to prevent what might be inevitably going to happen to Diddy?
I think every Major League Baseball player, every NHL hockey player, NFL football player, NBA player, every actor, actress, entertainer, musician, rapper is going to rethink their whole modus operandi. Has already started rethinking it based on this case. Because, like Lauren was saying before, and you were saying before, and I was saying before, you know, he's not isolated in doing what he's being indicted for, right? He just got targeted and he's in the hot seat, but you got to be careful what you do, man. Because flying, you said it before, people have been flying girls out all over. That's what they do. Get a tall stack of dollars and fly a girl out. You can't do that no more, man.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I will
100%.
say that if I were a juror, I would probably go for nullification on some of this stuff, because I mentioned this before. Do some of these crimes, do they meet the charges here? Yes, on paper they do, but if I am a juror, I would have a really, really hard time putting him away for 15 years for sex trafficking Cassie. If it's do you know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's right. I don't. If we're going to just talk about like this individually, nothing about what he's done with his life, nothing about anything in the past. I mean, do you think that he should be put away for 15 years for offering somebody an MDMA pill? No, I don't think so. I really don't. So
of course not. But
right.
I'll tell you,
but that's where we are right now, and that's where I think it's upsetting. Obviously, to you, you're very passionate about this now because you see what's going on, and so I get it. And I think that the other part of this is where people are like, well, he deserves it. He did XYZ, XYZ. Okay, you can think of it that way, but also, what if this was you? And what if you are on trial for, crimes that some consider minor, some consider things that people do all the time, but it's federal and you're facing life.
People have started to change. Let me tell you this. Going back to that conversation, as you asked me if I had a child, right? And I mentioned Busta Rhymes. So I was in Atlantic City. When was it? Probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went to go see my favorite artist. That's the guy I was wearing on the shirt yesterday, Vibes Cartel. I was born in Jamaica, actually. And when I went to see him, went backstage. And I'm backstage. I'm about to do a little Twitch live or whatever, YouTube live with him. And Busta Rhymes comes in. And that's when we had the conversation, but it was when he was leaving. But when he comes in, he's about to walk into the green room where Vibes Cartel is at. There's a woman who jumps on him and said, Busta! And she loves him. And I've never seen this reaction before. He steps back and he stops her and he says to her, please don't hug me. We're in 2025. There's all type of cases and all type of stuff. He literally said that. This is about 30 people surrounding. He says, I want to make sure everything is consensual. I love you and I respect you, but let's not do that.
Yeah, 100%.
And
crazy.
That in what would normally be a normal reaction and interaction became a little awkward for a second, but I think every male there was like,
I understand.
And that's the change. That's the change. I think whatever that happens with this verdict is going to have ripple effects. I'm going to be honest with you. If Puff walks, trust, the freak offs are at all time high. I ain't going to lie to you. It's going to be at all time. If Puff gets convicted, you're going to see a lot of people who may have been more liberal with people maybe they didn't know, or maybe just like flying out people or whatever, they're gonna start holding close to the chest because
Major implications, man.
You could be close to being in a situation like this
and lose your whole platform.
Yeah, and that's where I had said that the government is they're treading like really dangerous waters here, because it does sound completely ridiculous right now that a drug distribution charge for a federal crime can be as simple as me offering you an edible or me offering you whatever, and then all of a sudden
a puff of weed,
or I mean, it's just, or again, like you said, like many people do, transporting somebody that you may or may not pay for